What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports, and I'm back with you guys with my 2019 NFL mock draft 1.0. This is my first mock draft. Not going to waste any time. I'm going to talk about my criteria. I do these videos on my mock drafts based on rumors or believable rumors based on backed by evidence by the team and some of the people that I have talked to that have close ties to the organizations or really monitor the organizations very closely. So that's what I'm going by. If I don't have enough information or rumors or stuff, believable news based on that team and who they're going to pick, then I go and the second thing I do is choose the players who will be a good fit or the best fit for that team. So let's get into it. So with the first overall pick, we had the Arizona Cardinals, had them selecting quarterback Kyler Murray out of the University of Oklahoma. Pretty much the Arizona Cardinals are pretty much going to draft him. At the NFL Combine, it was reports saying they were locked in. A lot of people were like, why the hell are they going to take a quarterback when they already took Josh Rosen last year with the 10th overall pick? I don't know why neither, but the evidence shows that they're going to draft him. And if you need any more proof, it has been a lot of reports by everybody out there that Josh Rosen is on the trading block. Of course, the Arizona Cardinals denied that, but it's already teams reaching out to the Arizona Cardinals, and you wouldn't reach out to a team if you know that they're not going to be willing to trade a guy. So I have them taking quarterback Kyler Murray at number 1. At number 2, I had the San Francisco 49ers on the clock. They're taking defensive end Nick Bosa. They already took Solomon Thomas and DeForest Buckner in the previous drafts. Why not go ahead and select another edge rusher to solidify your defensive line for the next 5 to 6 years and have a pretty good or maybe elite pass rushing core and potentially 3 Pro Bowlers on your defensive line. At number 3, I had the New York Jets taking edge rusher Josh Allen out of the University of Kentucky. The New York Jets were reportedly last year interested in trying to get Khalil Mack from the Oakland Raiders, but they couldn't make it happen. This guy, I'm not saying he is Khalil Mack, but I'm saying he's the closest thing that we have to Khalil Mack. He has a high IQ. He's always near the ball. He can rush the passer. He can stop the run. He's all over the field. This guy is great in everything, in every department. He's a playmaker. Pair him with the 2 other playmakers the New York Jets have with Leonard Williams and Jamal Adams, and this will be a good defense for years to come. And I have the New York Jets taking him at number 3. At number 4, I had the Oakland Raiders selecting defensive line or defensive tackle Ed Oliver out of the University of Houston. The Oakland Raiders defense is a joke. They only had 12 or 13 sacks last season. You need to get a guy who can get after the quarterback, who's very fast. And you're getting that with Ed Oliver, very fast guy. This guy only played in 8 games, had a very good season. He was double teamed in almost every single game that you watch. And this guy was still finding ways to make plays and cause havoc. And he can get to the quarterback. And he's extremely quick and athletic. And I think the Oakland Raiders could start retooling their defense by selecting him with their 4th overall pick. With the 5th overall pick, we had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers having selected edge rusher Montez Sweat. Now, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a lot of other things they need to address, like cornerback and safety and all other needs on defense. But I feel they're going to get those taken care out the way in free agency. And I think the only thing they're going to have left during this time when the draft comes around is getting some pass rushers, and I think they're going to get the edge rusher Montez Sweat out of Mississippi State, who is very quick. He ran like a 4.45 or like a 4.42, which is one of the fastest times for a defensive lineman in NFL Combine history or some crazy stat like that. Go ahead and get an edge rusher. Tampa Bay wasn't that really good rushing the quarterback last year neither. And I have them selecting Montez Sweat. Go ahead and get you a guy who can get a couple of sacks and a couple of hits a game on the quarterback. At number 6, we have the New York Giants, have them taking quarterback Dwayne Haskins. Based on the rumors and everything that's been going around, they're pretty much 99.9% sure that they're going to take Dwayne Haskins. Find Eli Manning's successor. He's not going to be playing for the New York Giants any more longer. Probably after the next season, he'll be gone. He'll either get cut or he'll be retired. The New York Giants were reportedly early on in the season already trying to position themselves in this year's draft so they can get Justin Herbert, but he went to back to the University of Oregon for 1 more year. So now they have Dwayne Haskins. I believe they're going to take him with a 6th overall pick. At number 7, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're most likely going to get Nick Foles or a quarterback in free agency. So make sure that you can protect Nick Foles with an offensive tackle in Jawan Taylor out of the University of Florida. He's a hometown kid. He's only like 2 and something hours away from Jacksonville, so go ahead and take him. At number 8, I have the Washington Redskins trading up with the Detroit Lions. Now, a guy that I spoke to who really watches the Washington Redskins and the organization closely said that since they have Case Keenum and Colt McCoy competing for the #1 quarterback spot, that they are okay with not taking a quarterback in this year's draft and waiting for next year for a better quarterback class. And they really want a wide receiver. They tried to get Demaryius Thomas. They tried to get Josh Gordon. None of those worked out. So now they really want DK Metcalf, who is the Zion Williamson of the NFL, dominated the NFL Combine, running 4.33. He's coming off an injury, and the Washington Redskins really need a wide receiver, and they really like DK Metcalf. So go ahead. They traded with the Detroit Lions with the number 8 pick, who probably are going to get Anthony Barr in free agency, most likely. So they're most likely going to get the guy that they want in this draft, even if they trade down. So I had the Washington Redskins selecting wide receiver DK Metcalf out of Ole Miss. At number 9, we had the Buffalo Bills. Of course, they need a wide receiver, but I think what's more important is getting a security blanket, a reliable guy who Josh Allen can look to on 3rd down, who can make those crucial 3rd down catches, and that's what tight end TJ Hockenson is. He won the Tight End of the Year award. I forgot what that's called. He has reliable hands. He's like George Kittle 2.0. He's athletic. He can do everything, and he has very good hands. So go ahead and give Josh Allen a reliable security blanket on 3rd down. At number 10, had the Houston Texans trading up with the Denver Broncos. Since the Denver Broncos don't really need a quarterback no more, I can see them trading down and focusing on other needs. Had the Houston Texans trading up because they really need an offensive guard and offensive tackle. So go ahead and select the best one in this draft class who can play 2 different positions. He wants to play offensive guard, but he can also play offensive tackle as well. Cody Ford out of the University of Oklahoma. Dwayne Brown's the only reliable offensive lineman that the Houston Texans have on that team. So go ahead and select another one and try to keep Deshaun Watson protected, unless you want him to end up like Andrew Luck with the Indianapolis Colts. With the 11th overall pick, we had the Cincinnati Bengals. They're very interested in linebacker out of LSU, Devin White, and I believe they're most likely going to take him. It just makes sense. Their defense was terrible. Couldn't stop the run. Couldn't stop the pass. So since they couldn't do neither one right, just go ahead and draft a guy who can do both. Devin White, he can play the run really well because he's very quick. Sideline to sideline like Roquan Smith. And he can get after the quarterback and make plays. And that's what they need. And he can drop back in coverage. Kind of like Roquan Smith a little bit. So have the Cincinnati Bengals taking him with the 11th overall pick. With the 12th overall pick, we had the Green Bay Packers. Clay Matthews is a free agent. I don't think they're going to bring him back. He only had 3.5 sacks this past season. One of the worst seasons in his career. He's getting old. I could think the Green Bay Packers are going to want to move on and save some cap space. So go ahead and select edge rusher out of the University of Clemson, Clelin Ferrell, and have a very good edge rusher for 6 to 7 years. With the 13th overall pick, we had the Miami Dolphins, have them selecting Drew Lock. I believe they're still going to take a quarterback, even if they do decide to keep Ryan Tannehill, because I don't think they're going to want to re-sign Ryan Tannehill after next season or whatever it is that his contract is up. So go ahead and get Drew Lock. He has a big arm. He's mobile. I think he's more athletic than what people give him credit for. And I think he would be a good pick with the Miami Dolphins. With the 14th overall pick, we have the Atlanta Falcons, having them selecting edge rusher Rashan Gary. Vic Beasley, the coaches already said they're going to push him and work him in all offseason. And head coach Dan Quinn said, and I quote, after this offseason, Vic Beasley is either going to love me or he's going to hate me. So they're going to push this guy. He's going to be on the other side. And I believe Vic Beasley is going to have a good season. And since he's going to have a good season, he's going to demand a lot of attention on the offensive side of the ball. And that will open up holes for guys like Rashan Gary to come back and make plays and get to the quarterback. And also the Atlanta Falcons also had 2 All-Pros returning on their defense this year. This coming season, since last season, they suffered season-ending injuries. So I have them selecting Rashan Gary, University of Michigan, with the 14th overall pick. With the 15th overall pick, the Detroit Lions, they're here because they traded down with the Washington Redskins earlier on in my mock draft. Had them selecting edge rusher Jacob Polite. Put him with Ziggy Ansah, And boy, I think that's going to be a good tandem. And I think that's a tandem that Aaron Rodgers is already going to have to fear. And the Chicago Bears, they already have a good pass rushing tandem. And now you add the Detroit Lions with a good pass rushing tandem. Boy, that's going to be a good pass rushing tandem for years to come. And if Ziggy Ansah, if they can't agree to a contract with the Lions, then he would be a good replacement for Ziggy. With the 16th overall pick, I had the Carolina Panthers selecting defensive tackle or defensive lineman out of the University of Alabama and Quentin Williams. I think this would be a good pick if he falls down this far to ensure that an already impressive front seven remains elite and impressive front seven. With the departure of Julius Peppers retiring, I think this would be a great replacement. He's very, very Aaron Donald-like. He's short, but he's fast, he's strong, he's quick, he can stop the run, and he can get to the quarterback. This would be a very, very good pick here with the Carolina Panthers at number 16, and this would be the steal of the century. At the 17th pick, we had the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns have $60 million or $70 million in cap, so they shouldn't be drafting a wide receiver. They shouldn't have had to. Instead, they should be working on getting a wide receiver in free agency and working on getting a guy like an offensive tackle and Greg Little in the NFL draft to keep Baker Mayfield protected on his blind side for years to come. With the 18th overall pick, we had the Minnesota Vikings and linebacker Devin Bush. Most likely it's a no-brainer, since the Minnesota Vikings are letting go of linebacker Anthony Barr, the free agency. He's going to be gone, and they're going to have to find a guy to replace him. I don't really think they have the cap space to be trying to sign the marquee free agent linebacker in free agency. So Devin Bush here is an absolutely no-brainer, and he would be a good pick here to replace Anthony Barr. With a 19th overall pick, we had the Tennessee Titans. I had them selecting a wide receiver, Marquise Hollywood Brown, Antonio Brown's cousin. You already have Corey Davis on one side, so go ahead and give Marcus Mariota another weapon on the other side of the ball. And Marquise Brown, I don't think they're going to be enough to lure guys in free agency to Tennessee or any elite guys. Marquise Brown would be a good pick because he's explosive. He's a great route runner than what people give him credit for. And he has very, very good hands. And he's a big playmaker. He's a big playmaker guy. The thing about him is I don't think he's a possession wide receiver, but that's what you got Corey Davis for. With a 20th overall pick, had the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting cornerback out of the University of Georgia, DeAndre Baker. This guy hasn't allowed a touchdown in the SEC, the toughest conference in college football, in 2 years. And you can get him and replace a guy who all he does is allow touchdowns to Artie Burns, left and right, getting burned, just like his last name is, Burns. So go ahead and get DeAndre Baker. And also, he could potentially replace Joe Hayden, who is going to be set to be a free agent next offseason. With the 21st overall pick, the Seattle Seahawks have them selecting defensive lineman Christian Wilkins. They already lost a key guy on their defensive line, a key pass rusher on their defense. So go ahead and replace him. If the Seattle Seahawks aren't able to bring him back and get Christian Wilkins, who is a very, very athletic guy on the defensive line. This guy was playing cornerback in Clemson spring game last year. So this guy is a freaky athlete. And you can put him on several spots on the defensive line. I think you put him at defensive tackle, defensive end, nose tackle, wherever on the defensive line you want to play him. He could be very, very effective wherever. And I think that would be a good pick for the Seattle Seahawks, picking at 21. With the 22nd overall pick, we had the Baltimore Ravens, had them selecting running back Josh Jacobs. They're already been linked to Josh Jacobs in numerous reports. And also the recent running back got arrested. He's most likely going to be facing prison time, 35 years max. So go ahead and get a guy who can do it all. He can catch the ball. He's good running the ball. And although his college production doesn't show it, this guy is splitting reps with 3 other great running backs. So Josh Jacobs would be a big pickup and a great addition to the Baltimore Ravens offense, and pair him in that deadly backfield with already deadly runner Lamar Jackson, and that would be a good tandem right there. With the 23rd overall pick, we have the Denver Broncos. Now, Denver Broncos, they're here because they traded down with the Houston Texans for the 10th overall pick. Now they have the 23rd overall pick, and I have them selecting cornerback Greedy Williams. pair him with Bradley Roby just in case Chris Harris decides to go on the free agency next year, or if he wants big money and Denver doesn't feel comfortable paying him that big money. So you got Greedy Williams. That would be a good replacement for Chris Harris. He's long, he's rangy, he's very good in man-to-man coverage and zone coverage. He's pretty good in everything, but I feel he needs to add a little bit more weight, but he'll be a good pick at 23 for the Denver Broncos. The 24th overall pick, we had the Oakland Raiders, had them selecting safety out of Mississippi State, Jonathan Abram. This guy's what I call a certified smacker, and that's what the Oakland Raiders need. They need a guy who is going to punish a guy for coming through the middle and trying to catch a post route or anything deep. That's what the Oakland Raiders need. They need a guy who's going to make people fear throwing it deep. And if he doesn't punish you, he's most definitely going to take the ball away from you. This guy is the absolute ball hawk, and he's what the Oakland Raiders need. That Oakland Raiders secondary is a joke. It's not feared. It's laughed at. And this guy, if he gets drafted by the Oakland Raiders, is most definitely not one to be messed with, and definitely not one you want to mess around with throwing post routes down deep. With the 25th overall pick, I had the Philadelphia Eagles, selecting the cornerback Byron Murphy out of the University of Washington. I don't think they're going to take a running back this early, since there's a lot of running backs in this draft class that they can get later on and later rounds. And Byron Murphy is a no-brainer because they have had so many cornerback problems throughout the season, lack of depth, and selecting a cornerback here is a no-brainer because they need one. With the 26th overall pick, I had the Indianapolis Colts selecting Dexter Lawrence, the defensive lineman out of the University of Clemson. I call this guy the Jacksonville Jaguars stopper, or the AKA Leonard Fournette stopper, because this guy is 300+ pounds. He is huge. He takes up a huge amount of space, and it's going to be nowhere for Leonard Fournette to run when this guy plays. And Leonard Fournette most definitely isn't running this guy over. So the Indianapolis Colts, they draft him. Not only can he stop the run, but he's pretty good at rushing the passer, and he was an All-American during his time throughout Clemson. With the 27th overall pick, we had the Oakland Raiders again with the last pick of the first round. Had them taking an offensive guy this time. They need a wide receiver. Had them taking wide receiver A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss. Everybody talks about DK Moncrief, but they forget that this guy was the #1 wide receiver over DK Moncrief for Ole Miss University. So A.J. Brown would be a good wide receiver to add to the Oakland Raiders offense, and they definitely need to blossom that wide receiving core. With the 28th overall pick, had the L.A. Chargers finally getting the quarterback of the future that they've been procrastinating on drafting for the past couple of years now. And now I think they finally have a guy, and they draft Daniel Jones, a quarterback out of Duke, who would be a good replacement for Phillip Rivers. He's a good game manager. He's accurate, good arm, had a good Senior Bowl, was probably the best quarterback in my position in my analysis during Senior Bowl week. And I think he would be a good pick here for the LA Chargers, and they will give them the quarterback of the future when Phillip Rivers is ready to retire in 2 to 3 years. At 29th, had the Kansas City Chiefs selecting the safety, Nazir Adderley. Now, I don't know what they tend to do with Eric Berry, but they keep him or don't keep him, he would definitely be a good addition. And they keep Eric Berry, too, then he want to shore up that secondary, which was pretty terrible at times last season, and they allowed a lot of big plays. With the 30th overall pick, had the Green Bay Packers selecting tight end Noah Fant. They need some more weapons on that offense for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers said he needs more weapons. So getting this guy who is an athletic monster. This guy ran like a 4. He had a crazy 40 time. He's crazy athletic. Isn't really consistent with his catching ability, but you can work on that over time. This would be a good pickup here and give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. With the 31st overall pick, had the LA Rams selecting Mack Wilson, the linebacker out of the University of Alabama, because they're letting Mark Barron leaving free agency. I don't think they're going to resign him. So go ahead and pick up linebacker Mack Wilson for the University of Alabama to replace Mark Barron. And with the last pick of the NFL draft, we have the doggone New England Patriots, and I have them selecting a tight end Irv Smith, because Gronkowski, if he does tend to come back this season, this will most likely be his last season, and they need a solid replacement for him. And tight end Irv Smith, he's not a crazy, freakish tight end like O.J. Howard and all the other Alabama tight ends, but he has great hands, and he's a good run blocker, and he will definitely be a good picker for the New England Patriots. So that's my 2019 NFL Mock Draft 1.0. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, and thanks for watching.